this lecture, we consider how to be concise and precise through your word choice. How precision and conciseness are achieved through word choice may differ depending on the genre of writing. Smart word choice is important for most, if not all, academic tasks, and in fact for most kinds of writing. We will consider nouns, verbs, adjectives and adverbs. All of the examples used in this lecture are just that, examples. You need to notice and become aware of which word choices are possible and develop your own ability in this area. That means not just copying the words that you see. In English, there are often many choices a writer can make with respect to word choice. Words with a similar meaning are often called synonyms. English actually has very few true synonyms. There are frequently subtle differences in the meaning and appropriacy of similar words. We often term the appropriacy of a word its connotation. The connotation of a word means the word needs to fit the purpose of the writing. The same well-chosen word may not work in all writing situations. So let's start with nouns. The main choice is whether we need a general or specific noun. Do we want to use a general noun, success, or do we want the more specific, financial prosperity? In most writing, there will be a preference for a word with more precision, that is, a more specific noun. Success is ambiguous, whereas financial prosperity leaves the reader in no doubt what you mean. Other more precise nouns might include consumers instead of people, or methods instead of ways of doing. Verbs are also important choices. Your writing can seem more lively and readable with active verb choices. In academic work, some verbs suggest more analysis or action taken by the subject of the sentence. Examples might include monitor rather than look after, or innovate rather than create, exploit rather than take advantage. These verb choices are also critical for another form of writing important for undergraduates: CV writing. Active verbs in CVs suggest more initiative in taking part in activities. Returning to academic writing, in the following sentence, replacing "the company culture caused risk-taking behavior" with "the company culture encouraged risk-taking behavior" seems a minor change. But encourage suggests a specific type of cause, a very strong causal link. Adjectives are also important word choices. Adjectives are used in writing to modify nouns. These too can be more specific and can convey a richer meaning. For example, a negative impact could be made more specific by using destructive impact. Negative implies bad, but destructive tells us so much more. A disliked leader may be an embattled leader, an image that you can actually visualize. You'll need to consider adjectives very carefully, though, to ensure that they don't become too colorful for academic text, or perhaps even worse, that they become cliché. Finally, a word of warning about adverbs. These are words which modify verbs and adjectives. General advice is to use these sparingly, as they frequently clutter up sentences. If you have well-chosen nouns, verbs and adjectives, adverbs in many cases are likely to be unnecessary. They are a typical feature of novels and stories, but are often the first words to think about cutting in your own writing if your sentences start to look clumsy. So being more precise and more concise in your writing is partly about increasing your word power. It is important to build up your repertoire of words so that you can make positive changes to clunky sentences. You'll need to read more. You also need the awareness to know when a sentence is clumsy or clunky and needs to be pruned to make it more efficient and economical on the one hand and richer in meaning on the other. Try to notice and appreciate smart word choice in what you read, and try to learn new words yourself. You'll also need to notice from your reading what kinds of text these words came from, so that you can then use them correctly in your own writing.